What's up, everybody? Welcome back to rehab. So, I'm just gonna get right into what we're doing. Gonna work on that girl right there. So what I gotta do is I'm gonna take this sheet of aluminum here and I'm gonna make a fan shroud for this thing, for this radiator. Right now these are screwed on to these little bars here, and there's gaps. I need to fill in those gaps and make it so it'll pull air from the radiator instead of just from the side here. So let's get right to it. First things first, I gotta pull these fans off so we can start making a template. Just in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, why I'm making a fan shroud or what it is. So a fan shroud, so these are the fans, they go on the radiator, just like you saw just where I pulled them off of. And they sit on this little frame that I built that holds them really rigid together. And what happens is they pull air up from the radiator sits here. And right now, because there's nothing blocking anything off, they can actually pull air from the side instead of through the radiator, cooling the coolant down. It can just pull it from the side, and that's not what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking this flat piece of metal here, and I'm going to lay it over this piece here under the fan, and I'm going to cut holes out for each one of the fans. So instead of pulling air from the side, it only pulls air from the front of the radiator, cooling the antifreeze and cooling everything down. Just kind of directing where the fans are sucking air from to cool everything down. So that's basically what we're doing. First things first, we gotta measure, see how big it is. I don't know if you can see, but I have it marked out now. Now there's a couple of different ways that you could go about cutting sheet metal like this, especially so thin. You can use tin snips, which is these right here. It's basically aluminum sheet scissors, and that's a good way to get it if you don't have anything that's faster. But these are, what happens with these is the aluminum hits this chuck right here and bends down, and it just goes right into your fingers and it cuts you up pretty good. And it's not the easiest thing to do to cut out aluminum, but what I'm going to use is this guy right here. I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit in there that slides up and down. It just pinches off a little tiny piece of aluminum, just like this. Just pinches off a little tiny bit of aluminum at a time, kind of making this half moon shape, but it just makes its way through. So that's the way that I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna use this, and the best way to do it is if you have a bucket, to do it over the bucket so all the shavings go into the bucket as you're cutting it. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll show you just real quick. So as you can see, using this goes pretty quick. You just point it where you want to go, and this thing, because it's so thin here, it's easy. You can make circles, you can kind of turn it and make it go wherever you want, make curves if you need to, and it's really nice to use. So what I'm doing right now is I set the sheet underneath about where it's going to be when it's sitting up on top here between the fan and the rail. And what I'm doing is, the reason I'm doing that is so that I can mark out where I need to cut for the fan to have a nice hole. And I'm gonna just do that. I'm just gonna do that for all of them, kind of trace them out, and then we'll go and cut some holes. All right, now that we have our circles that we need to cut out, I'll show you how to cut out the circle without having to come off from the edge. Just like cutting out the sides from the sheet, there's a couple different ways that you can do this. The first way that you could do it is you could use a reciprocating saw. So basically this is just like a hacksaw, goes back and forth, and you could drill a hole and use that to cut it out. But that's really not the easiest way to do. You could use a cutoff wheel like this with an abrasive cutting wheel, and you could use this and you could go along the line all the way around. You could use it that way, cut it out, but that again is not the easiest way to do it. The easiest way to do it is, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a 1/2-inch drill bit and I'm going to, close to the edge, drill 2 holes right next to each other to make room to slide this thing down in there, and I'll just use this to cut the holes out, and it should be the easiest way to do it. The reason you drill 2 holes next to each other is so that you can connect them, because the end of that's kind of long, but 2 of them together, I'm able to get it in there real nice, so I can start cutting that circle. I'm gonna drill the holes for the other ones, and I'll meet you over at the bucket to cut them out. As you can see, just like I told you earlier, this thing's great for cutting out circles. You can cut angles any way you need to, but yeah, it looks pretty good. That's just the first one. Let's get the rest of them done. Looks pretty dang good, guys. Let's pull these fans off and see if we can get it to fit up real nice. If you guys are wondering, what I'm using to hold these fans on is, see if I can get it to focus. What I'm using to hold them on is these self-tapping screws. Basically all they are is a screw that has a drill bit on the end, so all you have to do is use a socket on the hex part of it, put it where you want it, and it'll drill itself a hole right where you put it. They're really nice for quickly kind of fastening things down and getting things to be tight in just kind of random places that you can't really reach. Let's get these fans back on. Got the fans all bolted back up. I did add these little attachments in the corners just because they were loose and they were rattling, but that made it a lot quieter. Plugged them back in, and let's turn the fans on and see how they work. Looks like the fans are working pretty good. So that's how you do it. That's all you have to do. You just cut them out and mount them up. thanks for watching, everybody. Comment down below if you have any questions. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the notification bell down below to get notified every time I upload. If you like this video or if you learned something new, please hit the like button. It helps me out a lot. And yeah, just have a good day, guys.